guys, my name is Richard Mulholland. Welcome to Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm an avid board game player, and when I heard that Green Couch Games was doing a game by Scott Almes, I was excited. But when I heard that it was a game with artwork from Adam McIver, I was super excited. And when I heard that the game was called The Best Treehouse Ever, I contacted Jason. I said, dude, I have a treehouse. I want to film a gameplay video for Best Treehouse Ever. So come along and let's show you a little bit about how to play this game. Let's go. Okay, so the game is very simple. Every player starts the game with a tree card that you're going to place in front of you, and that is the basis of the tree house that you will be building. Onto that tree we're going to start, and each player is going to place himself a balance token that they'll place in the center area of the tree that will allow you to have some degree of sense of the balance of the tree, which I'll explain in a second. Now, the object of the game is the player who builds the best treehouse at the end scores the most points. So we have a score tracker card here that will kind of take you through the different scores as we got these three cards you can lay out. And then what we have is you have how you score. Now, there's two ways to score in this game. There are different kinds of rooms. You have food rooms, outdoor rooms, education rooms, water rooms, and entertainment rooms, and activity rooms. So each one of these rooms has two ways to score. The first is at the end of each round. As it stands, each room is worth 1 point per room of that color. At the end of the game, though, whoever has the most colors, or the most of a specific room, and it's only if it's an absolute most, it's not if it's a tie, that player will score a bonus 1 point per room for any of the yellow rooms they have, or bonus, the player with the most green, a bonus 1 point per room. And what we didn't realize when we first played the game is how important and integral that was to the overall game. So it makes a very, very interesting decision. If you have too much of one color, players are going to try to block that room from scoring, which I'll explain in a second. But if you don't have enough of that color, it's not going to be worth much in the bonus round at the end. So you're kind of trying to work out what is the right, how far ahead do I want to go. So another important part of the scoring is the scoring tokens. There are 4 scoring tokens in the game. You have a ×2, a does not score, or 2 × 2 and 2 does not score. As an aside, in the 2-player version of the games, you ignore this and you only score with these 2 does not score bonus tokens. What will happen is at the end of a round, starting with the eldest player, which is always bloody me, in the first round, we'll choose one of these cards, say this one, and we'll pass these rounds to the players on the left, and we can choose different players. So say Colin would select the ×2, Tammy the ×2, and Dave that does not score. In reverse order, they will now place these on the rooms that they would want to not score at the end of that round. So Dave might say red, Tammy wants that brown to score 2 points, Colin wants that to score 2 points, and I don't want the yellow to score. So as this stands right now, red and yellow would not score at the end of the first round. Well, the green and the purple room will each score 1 each. The brown room and the blue room would each score 2 points. And this is what determines the score. It happens 3 times throughout the game in all 3 rounds of 6 cards. And then at the very, very end, you just score who has the most. So let's start off the game and show you how it works. I'm going to shuffle these slightly. Deal 6 cards to each player. This round happens in 3 phases. It's basically you pick, you pass, and you play. You pick a card from your hand, you pass the deck to your left, and then you play a card. At the very beginning of the game, it's relatively simple, so we might pick a card there. Now, you want to be mindful of what you're passing on to the players around you, also knowing what is more likely to score later in the game, because that could be a good, worthwhile thing. So we pass the cards over to there, and then we all simultaneously reveal and play our cards. Now, at the beginning of the game, your card will be played to the right or to the left. As you can see, Dave there has played his card to his right, and that means he has to move his balance token over to the right-hand side. What this means in Dave's case is you cannot play another card on the right-hand side. His next card he'll play will have to be on the left in order to counterbalance and move that back. The one exception to that is if you manage to place a card in line with the trunk in the very, very center, then the balance doesn't move at all because it's kind of maintained equilibrium. So now we all pick up our cards, and we repeat this process over and over again. And we repeat it until we're down to the final 2 cards. Okay. Reveal cards, move over the equilibrium token. And now we're just going to kind of play through for a little bit, and so you can see how a round would look. Okay, now we get to the last 2 cards. In the last 2 cards, each player has to choose one to play and then move one across to the discard pile. Now it's tricky. If you see what I have here, I've got a brown card and I've got a purple card. Now I can't legally play that card there, it's directly on top. I'm not able to play it there. I can't play it here because if I was to play it here, it would counterbalance the tree and move it over, so that the tree would fall over, so I can't place that there or there. So I have to play something on this side. So that rules this card out. I could play that there, and I guess it does better for the brown. The problem is it also blocks the red. Now because the brown is doing pretty well already, do I want to do that, or do I want to place the purple card that I have there? In this particular instance, I'm going to go with the brown, because I think the brown is the least likely to be blocked in terms of scoring for now, and I can worry about fixing the green for later. Then we would discard the one card, the extra card will all be discarded, and by placing that there, this goes back to here.
Discard the last card. Yep.
So as you can see, the tree is now in a state of equilibrium. Tammy's marker will just move over to the middle there. And everyone's tree should be somewhat, because of the way they're all placed, all the trees are in equilibrium, it's perfectly balanced, the balance point is cool, and away we go.
I don't know if you want to point out that because I played like an absolute I've managed to block 2 colors completely already.
Okay, as Dave said, because he played like a complete what he's managed to do is block both his red and his blue. Now, the rule of placement of the game is relatively simple. You can place on the left or the right provided you maintain the balance. However, the rest of the time you have to be able to match a color. So I could place this brown here, match that brown, match that brown. Because I've now blocked the red, I'll never be able to play another red. So you only get to place it legally untouched once. Thereafter you have to put another red card next to there. So red is now blocked for me, red is blocked for Dave, but blue is also blocked for Dave, blue is blocked for Tammy, and Colin is sitting in a good position. So you can see the noob came in and he's just overthought all of us. He was reading the rules last night clearly, and then the green is open for me. So currently I'm kind of happy to play green or brown as we go into the next round. Starting from the oldest player, we can now choose what we want to do. I will now take a I'm going to choose the ×2 marker. Cole gets to choose. Okay, Tammy gets to choose. He's chosen the does not score. Dave got the last card, so now he gets to choose where he places it. This only happens in the first round, that it starts with the eldest player. Thereafter, the player who's ahead in the score tracker will be the player who chooses first. So Dave is going to say the brown does not score, because Dave's basically a bit of an ass. All right, Tammy.
Mostly done out of spite.
Yeah. Is going to say that red is worth 2 points. Colin. He's going to say that yellow does not score. And then the only other thing that scores for me is green, so I'm going to say green scores 2 points. So if we have a look here at my score, for example, we know that my brown does not score, so none of those are worth any points. My red scores 2 points, and my green scores 2 points. So I'm going to take the score marker and I'm going to place my marker on 4 points for the start of the game. We're then going to go over to Colin. Now Colin gets 2 points for each of the reds, so that's 2, 4, 5 points for there, and these don't score, so Colin is going to take his marker and he's going to start at 5 points. Tammy takes the lead with 6 points. Dave and I start off the game collectively at 4 points. This is the end of the first round. We put the scoring tokens off to the side, and we deal out another 6 cards. So we're going to start off, we're going to choose cards again, we're going to go around, and we're going to go into the second scoring phase. Okay, one of the rules worth noting is you can only build your tree house up 5 stories, but the trunk does not count as a story. So 6 levels including the tree. Alright,
I don't know if I can do that.
Final card.
Just as a quick note, that may be cheating.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure if building it like this is completely correct. It has balance and it is working, but Dave has kind of cut certain things out there. So we'll just confirm, or the guys will leave a comment if that's a legal move. Dave does have an ugly looking tree though.
Right, play it safe and just put the green wherever there.
Yeah, do that. Okay. Now what's happened at the end of the round? That looks right. So now starting from the player who did the best in the original turn, Tammy gets to choose. Then it'll go to Dave, then to myself, then to Colin. And then we begin the third round. Okay, now this stage in the game, you want to try and get your majority. So you want to try and do what you can to make sure you're scoring more of a certain type than somebody else, or blocking them from scoring that type by making sure that you have the same amount. So that's an important dynamic to try and capitalize on. And then we're down to the last card in the game.
Discard.
And the Scott.
There's no consequences.
Absolutely. Okay, and then we reveal the final card. Discard. All right. Starting with the player in the lead, which is Tammy. So Tammy's going to be able to choose. Okay, Cole.
Oh.
So Colin is blocking the reds. I am going to block yellows. Green is worth 2 points, and now Tammy's got an interesting decision because brown would be the most helpful for her. In fact, in her case, it's quite easy. She puts it on purple because it helps her equally to the greens, but it helps myself and Colin the least.
No.
So we get to the final scoring. Okay.
Now we're going to do the total.
Now what happens is, now what we do is we take these off and we go to the final scoring round of the game. What happens here is we go through and we start with this and we say who has the most brown.
That's cool.
Colin has the most brown because he has 4, 3, 3, 1. Okay, so Colin scores an extra 1 point for every brown room he has, so he moves up to 30. So brown is now scored. We then move to the green. When we go to the green, Dave has 4. So Dave scores to 34.
Oh wait, I'm blue. Yeah, I'm blue, so I would take Colin. Which is
so 28, so he goes to 32.
Yep.
Alright, green is now scored. We go to yellow. Colin has the most yellow again. So Colin scores an extra 4 points for that, moving him up to 34. Alright, then we go to the blue. That is me with 5. So I'm going to move forwards. I'm red from 32 to 37. The most purple rooms is Dave, so Dave gets 4 points there, so he moves from 32 to 36. And then finally the most red rooms is Tammy. Tammy gets the most red rooms, moving her from 34 to 38. She started the game at the beginning. She finished the game winning at the end. Tammy, you have built the best treehouse ever.
Well, so weirdly enough for me, it's not my usual thing, but I really enjoy the artwork.
It was really easy to understand, being explained, and it's a nice, fun, quick game.
This is a light, fun filler game.
It really looks visually appealing when it's out on the deck.
We've kind of made it take up a bit of space here, but it really doesn't. You can play it at the dinner table, which is cool.
It's totally a treehouse I would really want to spend some time in.
I really enjoyed it.
Looks like a fun game I could play with my daughters.